The person in this picture is named Mahmoud el-Asawi, and he is known for being involved in one of the most famous public opinion cases for murdering the daughter of a well-known singer in the Arab world, Layla Ghaffran. This case is one of the strangest you might hear about due to the manner in which Mahmoud was arrested, his motive for the crime, and the reason behind the Egyptian public's sympathy for the killer. But before we tell you the whole story, please don't forget to support the channel by hitting the subscribe button. In 2008, at 5:30 a.m. Heba's husband called her mother to inform her that Heba had been stabbed multiple times and was in critical condition in the operating room at the hospital. The entire family rushed to the hospital, where they found a large number of doctors in the operating room trying to save Heba's life, but to no avail. Heba passed away. The police quickly moved to the house where Heba was attacked, located in one of the upscale residential areas in Sheikh Zayed, Cairo, the capital of Egypt. Upon entering the house, they also found Heba's friend, Nadine, dead on the floor with multiple stab wounds and a slit throat, similar to Heba's injuries but also with a cut tongue. The murder weapon, a blood-covered knife, was found next to Nadine's body. Due to the fame of Heba's mother and the mystery surrounding the case, it became a public opinion issue in the Arab world. The police began examining the crime scene, collecting evidence, and listening to witnesses, including neighbors and security guards, who all confirmed they hadn't heard any strange sounds the night of the crime. The police had no initial leads on the killer's identity or motives, and they suspected it might have been more than one perpetrator due to the brutality and strangeness of the crime. The crime occurred at Nadine's home, and a preliminary police investigation found that nothing valuable was missing from the house, such as gold, money, or electronic devices, making the case even more perplexing. Nadine's family lived in Saudi Arabia, and Nadine lived alone in Egypt for her studies, where she met and befriended Heba. The night before the crime, Heba was with her mother and didn't mention any problems or threats. On the morning of the crime, Heba called her mother to inform her that she was staying overnight at Nadine's house with other friends. Between 10 and 11 p.m. everyone left Nadine's house, and police questioned those friends who confirmed they hadn't noticed anything unusual at Nadine's place that day. All suspects were released due to a lack of evidence. The forensic report confirmed that Heba and Nadine had been stabbed between 14 and 18 times and had their throats slit, with Nadine's injuries being more severe and her tongue cut. The murder weapon was the knife found at the scene, and a third blood type was found, matching a blood drop on a leaf outside the balcony. The police sent Heba and Nadine's bodies for autopsy and collected the knife and a blood-stained piece of men's clothing from the crime scene. They discovered the theft of Nadine's phone, which had a Saudi number for her travels to Saudi Arabia, and Heba's main phone. This information was very important to the police. After collecting a large amount of evidence and facing pressure from Egyptian and Arab public opinion, the Egyptian police acted quickly. When Heba's husband Ali arrived, he found her in critical condition and immediately took her to the hospital after discovering that her friend Nadine was already dead. The forensic report confirmed that Nadine and Heba had been stabbed multiple times, between 14 and 18 times each, and both had their throats slit. However, Nadine's throat wound was larger and deeper compared to Heba's. Additionally, Nadine's tongue was cut. The forensic report confirmed that the weapon used in the crime was indeed the knife found at the scene, and all blood traces in the house belonged to Nadine and Heba, except for a third, unknown blood type that matched the blood drop found on the leaf outside the balcony. The medical report also confirmed that Nadine was attacked first, followed by Heba. The police obtained the serial number of Nadine's stolen phone and tracked it, but it was switched off since the day of the crime. However, the police hoped that the perpetrator would turn it on, even for a moment. A few days later, the police discovered that the phone had been switched on and a new Egyptian SIM card was inserted. The police smartly contacted the number, telling the person that they had won a large cash prize from the phone company and needed to provide their details to claim it. This led the police to a phone shop owner who confirmed that a man named Mahmoud, a blacksmith, had brought the phone to his shop in exchange for another phone he had lost. The police asked the shop owner to lead them to Mahmoud, and he described the workshop where Mahmoud worked. The police immediately went to the workshop and arrested Mahmoud, who had visible cuts and scratches on his face and arms. Upon seeing the police, Mahmoud thought they knew everything and confessed right away, saying that his intention was only to steal, not to kill. Mahmoud's confession matched the forensic report and the findings of the crime lab, including fingerprints and blood samples found on the leaf and inside the house. Mahmoud's story began 10 days before the crime when he worked in a neighboring house to Nadine's in the same neighborhood, installing iron doors as part of his job. During this period, Mahmoud learned that many people in this neighborhood often closed their houses and traveled abroad for long periods. Mahmoud was in financial distress and shared this with his friends, one of whom suggested that he rob a house to alleviate his financial troubles. Mahmoud focused on Nadine's house, knowing that her parents lived in Saudi Arabia and sent her large sums of money regularly, and that she had more than one car. Mahmoud decided to rob Nadine's apartment and bought a new knife to scare anyone who might obstruct him. On the day he planned to commit the crime, Mahmoud left his house at AM, took multiple means of transportation, and arrived at Nadine's area at PM knowing he couldn't enter through the main gates. He jumped over the fence where he knew the security personnel would be absent at that time. After entering the neighborhood, he hid in a nearby garden and watched until PM. He then entered through the balcony, but was surprised to find Heba and Nadine still awake. He hid behind a curtain until they each went to their rooms. Mahmoud then entered the kitchen and started stealing 400 Egyptian pounds he found on the kitchen table. Nadine heard him and came out of her room to investigate. Finding him in the kitchen, Mahmoud pulled out his knife to scare her, but Nadine attacked him out of fear, so he decided to kill her with several stabs, one near her face, causing her tongue to be cut. While Mahmoud was attacking Nadine, Heba came out of her room, and he immediately attacked her too, stabbing her. He then took off his blood-stained t-shirt, changed it with another, and left the knife on the floor before escaping through the same balcony. However, Heba was still alive and called her husband for help. Mahmoud reenacted the crime in front of the police and judiciary, and it was broadcast on Egyptian television and most media outlets. His confession matched the details of the forensic report exactly. During Mahmoud's trial, rumors emerged that the motive for the crime was personal and involved another person who paid Mahmoud to commit the crime, but these were proven false. After a long series of trials, Mahmoud was sentenced to death by hanging, and the sentence was carried out according to Egyptian law.
And as usual, see you in the next video.